All right, y'all. Now, I have come to a spot that literally, generally, every single person overlooks. I'm out in a place that is, as you can see, just a little underpass for me. And in those places, rocks and cool stuff always gets caught. So I have this love in my life of always looking in the crevices and in the nooks and the crannies of what everybody else seems to be overlooking. Because I believe that you can actually just pray and ask God to lead you to wonderful, unique things and interesting treasures. All my life, God has called me out of the normal world where it might just be city sidewalks and streets and everything else, but sometimes there's a little ditch or a creek somewhere running along, and there's always something interesting in there. I don't know if it's a rusty wire that I find that was bent up and really cool shaped, or if it was a rock that was red and yellow and had some crystal on it. There was always something interesting in there. Well, now I am down in Florida, and when I go and look in their interesting places or places where I get that desire to really go look in there, I find fossils, like the best fossils ever. And I have an inkling and a knowing that there's more treasures to be found down here, because the last time I was in here, I brought Naomi with me, and we went and explored the same little tunnel, and she's short enough that she can walk right under there. But I have to stand and then lay on my face and just flat float in it. And I'm able to look in there, and it's spring water that's flowing into here. So the water is really, really clear. So I'm gonna look in there and find some treasures, because I know God has prepared them for me just for such a time as this. For those of you that didn't know, I also wrote a book, which is called Snatched From The Flames. And that book is a journey of trying to uncover what had happened to me throughout my life, and try to also capture for other people the ways I used to survive. And one of the most important things for me of how I was able to overcome and persevere amidst the wars of the chaos and the despair and the hopelessness was to run into nature and to find somewhere that God would provide for me a refuge. And this is, for me, the refuge place I've always been able to find. It's in the water, it's in the creek, it's in a ditch, it's in a lake or an ocean. It's somewhere where I feel like water's still alive. And it can remind you that there are such unique treasures that are waiting to be uncovered and waiting to be unearthed. And it can be just in a city and a town nearby that everybody else, there's houses all around this, everybody else is overlooked. But God has set them apart for you. Chelsea and I roll around on the beaches, and we see people walk by shells that we put there, perfect dream shells, like the best shell of your life. It's right there in front of your face, and they look by and they don't even see it. And we've seen this all across the country now, where people will overlook everything else. But then for you, you're the one who sees it. And that's why I believe it's set apart for you. It's a holy thing. And it's a way that the great creator of the earth finds a way of communicating his truth to you, that he loves you, he cares about you, he's not far off. He's not some distant God that doesn't care. He's still alive. And he still uses this creation to speak to us and to teach us lessons that we can only learn through it. And I wanted to see what was in here. And I want you guys to come along on the journey with me. And we're going to see what I end up uncovering out of here. But I'm confident that today is a good day. This is a day that the Lord has made, and I'm going to rejoice and be glad in it. I'm finished the audiobook for that same book that I wrote, and it is a monumental undertaking. And it's been grueling and exhausting and vicious and painful. And yet at the same time, it's revitalized my love for God. It's revitalized my love for my wife and for my children and for what it is that we are made to do. And for that, I am going out here as my celebration. I've been waiting my whole time down here to have this window of time. The tide is going out. You're going to watch it kind of pull away and pull this water out. And as it does, that's going to help to clean the water and all the rocks and all the shells and all this decomposing limestone that's in there. Which looks like nothing really important. It gets this sludge on it, kind of, that over time, it just builds up on it. But as you rinse it away, you can actually see what's going on under there. So I'm looking for stuff that's not limestone, that's not shells. I'm looking for fossils. And for me, I've been looking for fossils since I was 8 years old. And the first time I ever found them, and all the way till now, or 7 years old. And all the way till now, I've always wanted to find fossils. Fossils to me are evidence of history. They capture history. They capture a moment in time powerfully. And I love to be able to hold it and to see it and to look at it and to know what it looks like and smells like and tastes like. And I want to experience a fossil, but this is how I want to experience them. I always wanted to find them. And this trip in Florida is the first time I've ever really found fossils in my whole life. And I'm so thankful for it, and I'm so blessed to be able to be down here to complete this chapter in my life and to be able to move on from here to a whole new journey of what he's prepared for us. I'm trying to remember this day and this moment because it's hard-earned, and you can't ever remember that, how hard it is to earn that moment. It's a great satisfaction to have worked hard and to have been in a greenhouse all day, and it's 100 degrees in there, and it's exhausting. I've never labored more hard in my life. And I could have done this all last year. I took a year off. I could have traveled around. I could have been recording the book, but I didn't. I waited till I'm working a manual labor job, volunteering on a farm 40 hours a week, and then in my off time, I'm creating an audiobook. That's one of the most grueling and beautiful and painful and exciting and challenging and overwhelming experiences of my life, and I'm doing it all together because you have to outwork the enemy. You have to be willing to sacrifice that extra bit, go the extra mile, be willing to keep going. Even when you're exhausted and you're depleted and you have nothing left, you get up and you press into his strength, because in your weakness, his strength is more magnified in you, and his strength has come upon myself and Chelsea and Naomi and Jubilee, and our life has bloomed. We're waging war for our daughter. We're praying for her. We're interceding for her. We're pouring our life into her. My wife literally nurses her life away. The vitality of her years, she instead invests and sows them into her children. That's the way it's supposed to flow. I invest and pour myself into my relationship with him. He pours it into me so I can pour it onto my wife, and she feeds our children, and it raises up life in abundance. It's the way it is. Sacrifice for your children. Give them everything you can. Give them your time. Turn off the phone. Turn off your television. Focus on them. Invest the time in them. They need you. They need you, dear God. They need you, and other people need you to look at them and see them in the eyes and care about them more than you care about yourself. Sacrifice everything you have. Give it away, because freely you have been given it, so freely give it away. It's the words of my testimony, and this is my life. I'm eager and glad to be able to share it with every one of you who is willing to come along with me on it. It's perilous, it's precipitous, and it's likely to lead to me and you living a far more dangerous life than you ever anticipated. But what a better way to live your life than to be dangerous. So go be dangerous for something that matters. Pour everything you have into it.